Hello and welcome to the local campaign, helping voters make an informed choice in the upcoming municipal election. I'm Kim Wilson and I'll be your host this evening. Tonight we have the mayoral debate for the Township of Wilmot. There are two candidates in this race and they are incumbent Les Armstrong and John Jordan. Speaking order was drawn before the debate, so with his opening remarks, here's Les Armstrong.
Good evening. My name is Les Armstrong and I've been the mayor of Wilmot for the last 8 years. I've been on Wilmot Council for a total of 24 years. We have been having a very effective time over the last 10 to 15 years to bring the township rid of debt, and we went debt-free 4 years ago. And we are building our reserves, which were almost depleted. The township is running smoothly and well with the help of staff and the members of the community, and of course, council overseeing everything going on. We have had a great time figuring everything out and getting us back on track. And we are, and we're carrying on, and we continuously have the lowest tax increase in the region every year. And we still get our things done that need to be done. We've been working hard and making Wilmot a better place, and personally, I can't find any place better to live than in Wilmot. Thank you.
Thanks, Les. John.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is John Jordan. My wife Kathy of 33 years and I and our kids have lived in Wilmot for almost 20 years. My wife Kathy operates her business in our building in downtown New Hamburg, and our kids Mackenzie and Shelby are both integral to our business. We're fully vested in Wilmot Township and are very passionate about where we live. I've got many ideas and energy to keep our township moving forward, to make this community an even more special place than it already is. The township is in an enviable and strong financial position, with the means to enhance our community even more for the benefit of everyone living here, working here, and paying taxes here while remaining fiscally responsible. I'm no stranger to leadership, and I have extensive experience in leadership roles. My diverse background and work experience has provided me with the necessary skill set, along with a strong financial planning background, to launch Wilmot into the next term. For the past 26 years, I've been a self-employed entrepreneurial insurance and estate planning practitioner with a strong focus on corporate financial planning and tax reduction. Adding to this diversity, I was employed for many years as a licensed electrician. This experience has taught me the importance of communication and relationship building, skills that are foundational to asking the right questions in order to achieve the required result. Communications with the residents of Wilmot is a very important part of my platform. I want to let everybody know exactly what is happening in the township, as it may or may not affect them, regardless of the issue. Additionally, we need clear lines of communication between the residents of Wilmot and the staff of the township. This is something I've heard over and over again as I've been knocking on over 1,700 doors, and many people are frustrated. Economic development is high on my list in Wilmot Township. The employment lands between Hamilton and Nafziger roads have been touted for the past 20 plus years as being developed, yet not a shovel has hit the ground. 20 plus years. There comes a time when a new set of eyes and refocus need to occur for Wilmot to be the place to be.
Thanks, John. To begin our question and answer portion of the debate, we now go to New Hamburg Independent reporter Chris Thompson.
Thank you very much. This is for both of you. I would like to begin on the topic of communication. As a member of our local media, I value communication very high, and I believe the residents do as well. And so I was wondering what both of you would do moving forward to not only make sure residents can communicate with you, but know that they can communicate you, and what are some things that the two of you would do to make sure that would happen?
We'll start with you, John.
Communication, excuse me. We want to make sure we're open and as transparent as possible, making sure everyone knows exactly what the township is doing, and to convey that through the traditional means, through traditional channels, and through social and digital media. Always part of my platform is that communication. We can't run the township without the input from the residents.
Thank you.
Thanks. John?
As a financial planner, we have to always assess the needs. It would have to be done on an annual basis, obviously. We need to assess what the revenue is and what the expenditures are. we have to make sure there's going to be a balance of all forms of taxation through residential, through business, through agriculture, and through industrial. And without obviously seeing the books, as I've not been in the seat yet, we have to assess what that balance is going to be. But obviously we want to remain fiscally responsible and have as low of an increase, any increase, as possible for the residents of the township.
Thanks, John. For our next question, we go back to Chris.
Thank you. So earlier this year, both of you are well aware, New Hamburg and a lot of the areas around was hit with one of the worst floods we've seen in the past few decades. And from this, of course, there have been a lot of developments that we've covered, of course, in the Independent. And the formation of the NIF Flood Action Committee occurred. So I was wondering to you both, why do you think the members of the NIF Flood Action Committee felt the need to form and do the work that they've done?
The NIF Flood Action Committee formed as a coalition group and an advocacy group to see what can be done as far as any flood mitigation in New Hamburg. They got together, there was research done, and through that research they had learned that grants were available through the Ministry of Municipal Affairs for that. However, before they could apply for any grants, the ministry had to come in and make it an activation zone so that people without insurance are able to get the support and the grant money needed for the essentials for their homes. However, that didn't occur in Wilmot at this point. What had happened is that it was determined through the township staff that the flooding wasn't severe enough. However, there is no minimum to that amount, and the ministry did not come in and activate it. Therefore, no one could apply for a grant. However, the township did apply for a grant to the tune of about $250,000 because there was enough sustained damage for a similar grant to the township in that regard.
Thanks, John. Les?
Well, the application that the township did for their damage has not been completed yet, and it has not been determined that we have reached that threshold of a required amount of money in order to get the money back. We haven't achieved that yet. The township at no time told the ministry that the flood did not meet their criteria. The criteria is set by the ministry, and they're the ones that have to come and investigate to enact the program. And part of that criteria is the amount of the damage that is suffered by private property owners, homeowners, residences, and the type of disaster that it was. It has to be special, or like if it had been a tornado, apparently that would definitely be part of it. But if it's a reoccurring event like the flooding that happens in New Hamburg, regardless of the severity of it, that is quite often determined that's not part of it because it's not special mitigating circumstances. So that's what has happened so far.
Can I rebut on that?
Sure.
The definition in the grant from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs for the disaster recovery assistance for Ontarians says that it's unexpected and sudden, and there is no minimum amount of damage. Anywhere does it say in the definitions for the flood from the Municipal Affairs. We have an email was obtained from Patrick Kelly from the township that they had done an assessment by asking staff members within the township if they knew of any damage there. And Patrick Kelly told them told the ministry that there was not enough damage sustained and that they didn't have to bother, although there is no minimum amount required in the draft or in the grant.
Thanks. Les, would you like to?
Well, what has happened is staff contacted the ministry after trying to get an answer as to whether they were actually coming down to do this or not. And that part of his conversation was, and it still is, that the ministry has not seen any damage estimates or seen any bills that were paid out. We haven't seen any, so that is where the problem is. We're still waiting for the ministry to come down and make that determination.
And by them coming to council and addressing council, whether it be through petition or whatever form that they're doing, we need to act on these types of things right away so that safety of our kids in the school zones is looked after. There should be no issue at all if it's with the township. When it's on a regional road, it can be a little bit different story because you have another level of government we've got to go through. But as your mayor, I would be that voice on region and be a strong voice, especially when it comes to community safety.
Thanks, John. Les?
Yes, the process that happened in Baden worked well. The community came to the township. We had staff look at it. Initially, the process showed that it wasn't warranted, so what we did was we got an outside study done, and because of the prospect of further development behind where the school is and in the area where these stop signs were meant for, it showed that probably in the not too distant future it would warrant it. So we went ahead and said, okay, it's probably a good idea to do it now and get people used to it.
Thanks, Les. For our next question, we're going to go back to Art Sinclair of the KW Chamber of Commerce.
All municipalities across Canada have been facing infrastructure challenges in the last number of years. That is, building roads, water mains, sewers, and other necessary structures that businesses and residents require on a daily basis. Do you support using property tax increases to finance current and future infrastructure requirements? And if not, what would you propose as an alternative revenue source?
I'll start with you, Les.
I think that increasing property taxes for those items is an extremely last resort. I believe that some of the infrastructure that we have to take care of and repair and upgrade, some of that funding, especially replacing bridges, that is something that should come from the province. The province built all our bridges and then gave them to us, so I think maybe to saddle us with the expense of $1 or $2 or $3 million to replace an aging bridge is not right. I think what we have is a 10-year capital plan for maintaining, upgrading, and improving our infrastructure. And because we have that plan in place, because we're working on our reserves, we are able to have a regular program to keep this going, and we're doing all the road repairs and infrastructure upkeep that needs to be done, and it's working well. It has been for 10 to 20 years.
Thanks, Les. John?
Infrastructure obviously is the backbone of what we do, and we have to look at that as each item comes through. We are obviously responsible for all of the bridges on the municipal or township roads, but we can work collaboratively with the provincial and federal governments, and there's typically grants available with that. So we look at working with them where we can. Again, a last resort as far as increases, we have to assess that each year as far as what is the needs of the community, what are the infrastructure needs, what services are required, and look at that each year to see if it is warranted.
Thanks, John. Another question, Chris?
Thank you. New Hamburg, New Dundee, Baden, the Township of Wilmot often have events going on. It seems like every weekend. We just had the addition of the William Scott Festival, of course, this year. So I was wondering, how does the township take steps to continue to encourage residents to organize these events, and how can the township get involved and make them bigger and better?
John?
This is part of my platform, is certainly supporting the arts and culture. We are rich with talent in Wilmot Township, whether it be through the TCP and the productions that they put on. We've got a wealth of musical talent. One of our local gals is up for a Canadian Country Music Award right now. And we have many, many contacts that we can start putting some pretty significant and successful festivals together, and certainly something I'll be working with those people through those programs to make sure that we can keep going and building on these festivals and drawing people to Wilmot, because it's the place to be. Sure, it's held that no development comes into Wilmot past the line.
Thanks, John. And thanks, Chris, for the questions, and thanks to Art Sinclair. We're going to move to the closing remarks portion of our debate, and we'll start with you, John.
Thank you. Municipal politics affects people the most of any level of government, but it's the one that gets the least attention from the public, especially at election time. A municipal election is your opportunity to let your voice be heard, you the residents of Wilmot, if you're not satisfied with your current municipal government. There's a very strong slate of candidates running in this election that prioritize listening to the residents and providing positive results. Wilmot Township is rich with culture and talent and the uniqueness to every burg and settlement in the township. We need to embrace and celebrate the people, the arts and culture, sports and recreation, special events, agriculture and agritourism, local businesses and restaurants, and the talent that this township has to offer. We want to let everyone know that Wilmot is the place to be. I've lived in this area of southwestern Ontario my entire life, and I've had the good fortune of both living in town and for the past 13 years living in our farm in Wilmot Centre. This has provided me with a well-rounded view of both urban and rural lifestyles, as well as understanding both rural and urban residents and the issues that they need. I know that my vision will continue to support all local people, businesses, and community groups, albeit this time from the head of council. For the past number of weeks, I've been getting out and into all corners of the township, and I thus have rung on more than 1,700 doors and counting. My grassroots way of meeting people I'm representing will continue up until the election. In closing, I've listened to what Wilmot residents have had to say. Now is the time to take this input and make our community stronger, better, and make Wilmot the place to be. Together, we will do this with my leadership, my progress, and my passion. On October 22nd, I look forward to your support for your vote for mayor.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
And Les.
So first of all, I want to thank Rogers for providing us with these debates. I also want to say that I've enjoyed extremely the time I've had being the mayor of Wilmot. And during that 8 years, especially the 8 years of being mayor, I'm always out in the community talking to the people. My office door is always open. I've had numerous people come in. They come in to pay their taxes, and the next thing they do is they're at my door wanting to chat about what's going on and any concerns that they have. And I've always listened. I've never turned anybody away from the door. And when I've been sitting having a coffee with somebody and somebody's come up to talk to me, I've never turned them away from the table. I've always been open to the people and will continue to do so, because part of my passion is being with the people. And because Wilmot's such a great place, it makes it even more enjoyable. So I wish to continue to do that and hope for your support on the 22nd. And the important thing to say is, please, everybody, get out and vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Les. And I'd like to thank the Wilmot mayoral candidates for participating in tonight's debate. And make sure to tune in to Rogers TV on on October 22nd for your up-to-the-minute results. Thanks for watching and have a good night.